It's 6:15. It's always 6:15. I believe the day I started noticing the shift the first time was a pleasantly calm Saturday. I was taking a little time off from work and started my vacation day just like I always do, by preparing a luscious bowl of hot porridge with apples, cinnamon, and a cup of coffee on the side. The smell of fresh coffee beans filled my apartment and my nose. I remembered how warm it made me used to feel, but I stopped enjoying it a while ago. I needed to change my meals. But you know what they say, habits are hard to break. Besides, having a somewhat healthy breakfast keeps up the illusion of caring about my body. It really does stop after breakfast though. The rest of the day continued quite normally as well. I always lose track just a little when I don't have to go to the office. The privilege of too much free time, I guess. After breakfast, I went for a grocery run, did some cleaning, and spent the rest of the day watching Netflix. Just your usual, mundane day-to-day activities. Yeah, most hours were wasted staring at a different world, but I guess it is socially acceptable now. I enjoy it. Quiet but nice. Most people crave far too much thrill for my taste. Nothing is absolutely fine in my book. The clock hanging above the desk in my room showed that it was 6:15. In reality, it was much later. The clock required to be fixed. I told myself I would fix it tomorrow as I had done the days before. However, tonight the time would be set back. From summer to winter or the other way around. I can never really remember. Even if it happens twice a year. I've heard that the specific day it happens is different depending on the continent where you live. It is as if we don't simply live in different time zones but particular time systems altogether, which seem quite strange if you think about it. We all share one cycle after all, even if the sun goes down at different hours of the day. Anyway, my lazy brain convinced me to wait until tomorrow to fix the clock. That way I'd change them all in one sweep. It seemed clever enough. Luckily I don't have that many analog clocks. The most prominent one hangs above my desk. An antique cuckoo clock that I inherited from my grandfather years ago. He was a mean spirit altogether and left me with nothing but a reminder of passing hours, or time wasted, as he always made sure I knew. He never left me alone with the bickering. After opening my eyes from a heavy sleep, I was ready to start the Sunday just as I did yesterday. It felt odd, however, because as I looked at the clock in front of me I read that it was only 6:15. Of course, that was before I remembered that the cuckoo clock needed fixing. As my other senses were following to wake up, I noticed strange sounds in my room. Voices I thought belonged to my dream but were getting louder and clearer now that I was up. A look to my left showed that my laptop was still running on the show I watched last night. Considering I was God knows how many episodes in, I must have slept for quite a while. Doesn't Netflix usually ask if you're still watching? I grunt and grab my phone to check how late it is exactly. It's 6:15. The peculiar coincidence made me chuckle. It almost seemed as if the old clock was working just fine. I felt strangely rested for being awake so early, but there was no use in trying to sleep more now. I just went and prepared my oats, roasting them just a little in the pot. Then I added water and waited for the texture to turn creamy and nice. Finally, I add apples and a dash of cinnamon. I almost went bananas this time, but as I said, habits are hard to break, though it didn't matter anyway. I wasn't really feeling hungry and hardly finished half the bowl. Do you know those days that simply start off a little odd? Like you only woke up but you already know it will not be a pleasant day. Part of me knew I had to break out of my lazy habits and therefore I decided to go for a run. If I didn't leave the house now I would simply stare at the screen all day again. I knew who I was after all. Feeling proud that I had actually gotten up early and was going to do sports on top of it. I felt unstoppable. I was already looking forward to the crisp morning air and empty streets when I jumped down the stairs and headed towards the front door. To my surprise, the streets were packed with people, parents with their children, adults in business clothes, and teenagers in friend groups. What was even stranger, the sky looked like it was turning darker by the minute even if there was not a cloud to be seen. Something seemed awfully off. Had I slept all day and it was evening already? I hadn't brought my phone with me to check whether it said PM or AM and I didn't remember from earlier. I simply assumed it was morning because that made the most sense. I contemplated heading back home but changed my mind before I could. I simply started running. I ran until I saw a magazine stand and noticed the newspaper saying it was Wednesday. No ducking way. I mumbled to myself. Excuse me. The man behind the magazine stands asked with a concerned look on his face. I'm sorry. Nothing. Could you tell me the time by any chance? He checked his wrist and answered with a smile. But of course, it's 6:15. His smile turned into an awkward chuckle. I am not sure you're supposed to ask though, he said as he pointed towards my left arm. With a black marker, someone had written, don't check the time. I stumbled back and ran home. My skin was crawling. I had absolutely no memory of writing on my arm and I didn't understand how I hadn't seen it when I left earlier. Back in my apartment, I checked every single clock. They all said 6:15. Feeling like I was losing my mind, I called my brother. He laughed at first but the joking turned into a serious concern. He offered to come by and take me to a doctor as he was getting worried after listening to my nonsense. I am not exactly sure what happened next. I hung sheets over all the clocks in my home and waited for my brother, but he didn't appear for hours. Finally, I checked my phone only to see that it was suddenly Sunday again, but a week later. I would start work again tomorrow, but of course, that couldn't be true. I mumbled to myself that my phone must be broken. Well, except I had a number of texts sent back and forth between my brother and me, of him assuring me that everything was fine. The doctor said so himself. Of course, I was late to work the next day. I couldn't check the time after all. Some days I would be early. If I didn't see any clocks, that's when I would continue my day in the most normal fashion. If you didn't see the insides of my mind, you might believe that everything was just fine behind my forehead. However, there was a constant storm of confusion which took me very long to tame. It wasn't always awful, though, I have to admit. Sometimes when I slipped up and ended somewhere further in time, I was met with nice surprises, as all the texts I had received from a woman that I met at a bar the prior evening. Of course, I had no memory of that night, but she had, and she seemed to have enjoyed the time with me. Hell knows why. Apparently, I was a fine bloke when I wasn't in control of myself. I simply kept slipping away. It was frightening, and of course, I looked for ways to explain what was happening to me or how I could break out of it. The only slightly logical explanation I could think of was my grandfather's clock. It must have cursed me, but even breaking it into little pieces didn't change my fate. I stopped speaking to anyone about it. Even family members or the fiancé I know had. I figured it out when I saw the ring on her finger. I had slipped away again, but Mary was happy. And I believe a part of me was as well. She accepted my quirks of not allowing any watches or clocks. When it was time to go to work, she would let me know. She thought I was a good partner because I was. When I didn't wake up later in the future, we had a splendid time. After a while, I stopped trying to fight it and just coped in the best way I could, by enjoying the times in which I was present. That's not the only solution I tried, of course. For a while I hid my eyes, assuming that I would be fine if I saw no clocks. I would sit in a park on a bench and enjoy nature with my other senses, only to hear someone shout, "It's 6:15. I tried to avoid other people altogether. Hell, it almost ruined my relationship. I broke up with Mary at a time where I felt clear enough to do so. I barricaded myself inside my home with no clocks, no electronic devices, and I even put all the blinds in front of the windows. Then one day I heard a knock on my door. I believed it was Mary. Sweet, clueless Mary, who went through all my madness and still accepted me. A selfish side in me was hoping to open the doors and look into her eyes. Instead, however, I was greeted by an old man with a dark hat that hid half his face. The part that wasn't hidden showed a big smile. His suit smelled moldy. Before I could say anything, he started speaking. "It's such a beautiful day. Why are all your blinds closed?" Looking at him, I felt both attacked and had a sense of pity in me. He looked lost in a way. Still, I felt uneasy. Why would a strange knock on someone's door because of their windows? I opened my mouth, but again he spoke first. "Why are you wasting your day like this? It's already 6:15. The next thing I remember was being back with Mary. I wouldn't see the man again for a while. He only showed up when I tried to trick the system. The darkness was following me and there was no escape except for acceptance. And now, from the outside, you might believe that I am living a happy life. I've removed all the clocks in my home, put a sticker where I'd see it on my phone or my laptop, but I sometimes slip up and see the time, or I will hear it. If I am lucky, it will be by the end of the day, but normally sleep is the only time where I am safe. That's when I waste life in another way. It's 6:15 and years have passed. I try to live as best as I can. Not let anyone know that my life is shorter already because they are not aware. I have gotten quite good at faking my second life. I've tried to explain it before, but still my wife has no idea that her husband is living in 2 different times. I must be telling her other things when my mind is not present. She doesn't know how many years of our marriage I've missed. Like meeting her family, spending all those holidays together, and worse, the birth of our child. I continue as a shell that can't seem to avoid the clocks. They are all around, reminding us of our mortality. We check them as often as possible, sometimes wishing a moment would pass sooner. I, on the other hand, pray to have any second I can. I ignore calendars and clocks altogether, trying to hold up the illusion that they won't pass if I don't look. But I know that's not true. I can't run from them forever. The reminder of death is hiding behind every corner. On the churches, at the train station, on the wall at the doctor's office. To you, a couple of years have passed. To me, a few minutes. It's 6:15 and my life will be over soon. OP. Have you tried writing messages to yourself? The way I see it, you've got 2 people here sharing a body, but not their memories. I imagine the other you has lapses in his memory at the times when you're conscious, and vice versa. He just happens to be present a lot more often than you. This is really scary and really sad, but I can't help but giggle at the I would sit in a park on a bench and enjoy nature with my other senses, only to hear someone shout, "It's 6:15. I just picture some dude jogging in the park while you're just minding your own business, sitting on the bench screaming it's 6:15 and then continue to run as if nothing happened. As if his only purpose there was to remind you that your life sucks. Hey, OP. I was just coming by and I saw you had the blinds closed. Stop wasting your time. It's already 6:15. Easy there, Satan. Who's the Satan here, bud? I'm just telling this guy to stop wasting his time. After all, it's 6:15.